Hey guys, SirVern back here, and today I am reviewing Deliver Us the Moon for the PS5, also for PS4, and maybe even PC, not sure. But anyway, I'm going to go over the same 5 categories I always do. Graphics, performance, gameplay/story, replayability, and then fun factor. Give them a score of 1 to 10, average them up, and talk about the game a little bit. This will be footage from super early on, so it's not really any spoilers. But if you're worried about missing the first 5 minutes of the game, then don't watch. Anyway, just listen. So, let's go over graphics first. Graphics, I give an 8.5. This will be kind of a quicker review because this is a smaller game. The whole game is 5.5 hours long, so it's not a very long game, not super in depth. I've already started, but Deliver Us the Moon is like a puzzle action game. Basically a puzzle game, a walking puzzle game. But next category will be performance. I did have a few issues with this game. Got to one point, I guess something wasn't prompted to load. A certain part just wouldn't work. I thought I was doing something wrong, but when I restarted the game, it corrected it. That happened once, but it was so significant that I got to a second puzzle that I thought it was messed up because I thought something similar was happening. So that really put a damper on things, because in a 5.5 hour game, even 1 or 2 bugs is kind of a lot to me. So I'm going to knock it pretty hard for that, because I sat in that room for a while, and it was just a bug preventing the game from continuing. So it kind of ruined it a little bit for me. So performance, I give a 7. Graphics are pretty, and it looks like it's running at 4K, so it is pretty smooth. Other than that, some bugs. Gameplay/story. So let's go with gameplay first. So it's basically like a puzzle game. That's all it is. I mean, you go from room to room, and essentially all you're doing is just figuring out different things. You're just fixing problems, so it's not a game for everybody. Some of the puzzles aren't very hard. Some are kind of frustrating. That's pretty much all there is for gameplay. I mean, there are surprisingly a few platforming areas, not a few, but a couple of platforming areas, which kind of spices it up a little bit. But that's really all there is to the gameplay. And then the story, I mean, it's a pretty decent story. Not sure if I just couldn't follow it very well, but there were a few different characters, and it's all told in like holograms, little holograms you'll find here and there. So you're really the only character in the game other than hearing audio clips and seeing those holograms. So it's not a terrible story, but it's not great either. Gameplay/story, I'd give a 7. Replayability, the story is only going to make you want to do it once, and the puzzles too. Once you figure it out, you kind of know what the game's all about. The only reason I gave this a little higher score is I think I got 12 out of 30 something trophies at the end. So if you're a trophy hunter, you may get 2 or 3 playthroughs out of this, but I would recommend playing it and then waiting 2 or 3 years so you kind of forget the puzzles and that kind of thing. There's nothing really wrong with the game. It's just an okay game. It's nothing terrible about it, so you might want to play it again. You may not run into the a few bugs that I ran into, so your experience may be better than mine. And then last category, fun factor, I gave it a 7. That may even be a little high, but I'll just leave it at 7. It's just a decent game. The story keeps you engaged enough to keep playing. The puzzles are there. Some are kind of creative, but some are not. Some are just boring. So it's just an okay game. If you average them out, you got graphics 8.5. Performance 7, gameplay/story 7, replayability 5, fun factor 7. Average those out, you get a 6.9 out of 10. I didn't even write many notes on this game. I'm in school right now, so I don't have a ton of time to put into games, and I looked for one of my shorter games, and this one was, you know, 5.5 hours long, so it wasn't super long, and I did enjoy it. It wasn't a terrible game. Um, you know, it's a fun 5 hour experience. I'm not sure how much this runs. I have it physically, um, but I think it's a relatively cheap game, maybe 20 or 30 bucks. So you're getting your money's worth. Interesting story. Um, you know, I guess it is what you make out of it, because there's a ton of little like logs you can read, emails you can go through and kind of get a better backstory of what's happening. So it is an interesting story. But anyway, what else can I say? It's cheap. You get what you pay for. It's kind of like a indie game, and I've been kind of on an indie game kick lately. The last 2 or 3 games I've beat have been indie games. In fact, this publisher, I think Wired Productions, I'm not entirely sure, but I have another game called Arcade Paradise I think I might play after this. But anyway, that's really all I've got. Sorry the footage isn't more interesting. I don't want to give a ton away. But anyway, that's all I got for now. SirVern out.